you all
Yes,
remember
sir.
Jabari. You know, when
Salute,
Jabari came
King.
on,
Salute, King.
Jabari, my man Jabari is somebody I've known for quite some time. He was an assistant principal for Marie DeForge at PS 28. I've watched that man grow into the man that he is, the leader that he's become. And, you know, when he sent me that text that it was official last week, I was like, you know what? I got to acknowledge that in front of everybody because I'm extremely proud of you, brother. I'm really, really proud of you. And we know
Appreciate you, Dennis.
it most certainly was an easy road to travel. And so when we talk about Adolfo, when we talk about the greatness of Black leadership and we talk about what other men are doing, he's an example. And I'm glad that I'm able to kind of have you both stand right next to each other in this Zoom room so that people can understand, our young people can understand that Black leadership and Black excellence comes in all genders. And like I said, I applaud Simone for always bigging up the women, and they well deserve it. But I'm also looking at this trifecta of men right here and say what we've accomplished by way of what we do for young people cannot be understated whatsoever. So I just wanted to bring my man Jabari up really quick, man, and let him, shout, the whole OSG family out because I know he was, he's presented with us in the past. He's here pretty much almost every time he can get there. But I just wanted to at least acknowledge that, bro.
Appreciate you, brother Dennis. Appreciate you. What's going on, OSG fam? How y'all feeling?
Uh-huh.
I like
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, the joke is there are three people that I call when good things happen. My mother, my father, and Dennis. Like he's always on the top list, right? In that order, I kid you not. So when I got word, I went right to that order. I called my mom, called my pops, and then I reached out to Dennis. I know he's a busy man, so I normally send him a text. And if he's free, we get on the phone, we chop it up. But he's been somebody that's been in my corner from day one. We met each other about, I think maybe going on 3 years, maybe going on 4 years.
3 years.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He was instrumental in my hiring process as an AP. He's been someone that I not only trust, but I appreciate having conversations with. He's been in my corner. He's always been one to push me and remind me that, bro, you're destined for greatness. Don't sell yourself short. Advertise, put yourself out there. And when he told me that he was starting the whole OSG movement, I'm like, just let me know what I need to do, Dennis. This is phenomenal. I've actually invited quite a few people over the course of the whole OSG movement, and the feedback I've gotten from them is like incredible. Like, yo, I didn't even know this many Black educators existed. And that's always been, and it's alarming because we know that we exist, but the people on the outside don't know that we exist. And I think Dame had mentioned this a couple of months ago as well, that we really need to celebrate and support one another. Because there was was it Mayor Patterson? You can't be what you can't see, right? And I've been running with that for the longest. So, and I remind myself too that when I was growing up, I didn't really have many Black role models to look up to other than my parents. But, when you talk about Black educators doing amazing things, this is where it lives, and I'm just so proud to be a part of this family. And I appreciate you, Dennis, for everything that you have done and everything that you continue to do, not only for me, but for all of the principals and leaders on this call.
I just want you to just come on here and tell everybody who you are, how'd you find OSG, everything about it. And again, me and you had a great conversation this morning, so I salute you. And I wanted to kind of turn that back over to you right now.
Yeah, well, first of all, as always, thank you, Dennis, for inviting me on, and thank you for the OSG family for just welcoming me and also showing me a little tough love too. In regards to what about me, I'm a North Philadelphia native, born in Chicago, raised in North Philly all my life. During the time I was going through school, I was dealing with a situation back home, but by the grace of God, I was able to get out of that. But going and allowed me to graduate at 15, and from high school in engineering science, on 17th and Norris in North Philadelphia. From there, I went to the Link University of Pennsylvania, up in Oxford, PA, where I matriculated through, this is the first time I saw a lot of Black chemists. So that's what actually motivated me to stay in the STEM field. I never saw a department where it had 4 or 5 Black chemists, all in their own respective disciplines, and also giving me and showing me how to navigate, not just as a STEM professional, but actually as a Black person in the STEM profession, which allowed me to graduate in 3 years from the university with 2 degrees. I graduated with a chemistry degree that a lot of people know, but also with a history degree as well, because I really wanted to learn about what it actually means to be black in this field, such as studying like St. Elmo Brady, studying Percy Julian, and people who actually paved the way for me to actually understand what it means to do it. And also the person that I follow his path, Dr. Jesse Ernest Wilkins Jr., he graduated with a PhD at 19, but before they graduated at high school at 13. So for me, that was astounding to me, saying, wow, black guy in the STEM field doing it, because he was a mathematician. But nevertheless, graduated at 18, 10 years ago, literally, this is my 10-year anniversary coming up. Now going to Howard for a little while, and that's why I got into the concept of atmospheric chemistry, understanding what it means to actually be in an environment and what's in the environment was not supposed to be there, was supposed to be there, things of that nature, by way of working closely with NASA in the Department of Maryland Department of Environment. So I got a lot of experience. That was like my first research experience before going to my other alma mater, the first state HBCU, Delaware State University, where I matriculated through and got my PhD. But from there, I don't want to say I'm just the youngest, but if you look at all the things that I've accomplished throughout that degree, I was able to get peer-reviewed journals, travel the world, and also able to get a patent as well. And that was all because I had a black advisor. And a black advisor, he really believed in me and sold into me and said, listen, I call him like my grandfather. He's like, listen, I'm gonna give you everything that I have that I know and pour it into you. And any ideas you have, we're gonna try to just do what we can to make sure we could turn those dreams into a reality.
As a high school principal, I need for you to encourage African American chemists to come into the classroom.
Gotcha.
If any principal that's a high school principal is on the line right now, they probably want to get up and do a dance like they're in church with that statement I just made. The difficulty for finding a chemistry teacher. Let's just start there. I'm not talking about a good chemistry teacher. I'm not talking about a teacher that could connect with our students. I'm talking about finding a chemistry teacher, period, is hard. Then when you go from there, you start getting into questions as you interview the person, and during the course of the interview, you see immediately that whoever is the administrator over that teacher, they will be spending lots and lots of time in that classroom because that teacher cannot communicate, and this is in various different ways, or connect with the students. We need some of our African American chemists out there to come to the classroom. We need it badly.
And I agree. I definitely agree, because when I came in, I heard exactly what you were saying, and the challenge that I noticed was that, like, for me, it was a learning curve for me in terms of the education. I grew up with parents being educators, but me personally, like you said, that connection, I had the cultural connection, but the communication I had to really work on. And as I worked on it, I realized now, oh wow, now I'm learning something from the students which I didn't know before in terms of just how to communicate with them. Because I would say agree with you saying there was a disconnect, because we get caught up in our own jargon and saying, well, the students should know this, the students should know this, the students should know this. And I even hear this in higher ed, the students should know this, the students should know this. And it's like, it's not about they should know or they have to get it as soon as you explain it, but it's all about that communication piece like you talking about. So I definitely agree with you saying. I think also with the add in there, not just the representation, but understand that the chemistry teachers have to know why they're there and not just be there for a check.
One thing that we were speaking about yesterday that stuck with me was, to get, it's about an equation, and there's different ways to get to the equation, but they only teach one way. But at the end of the day, chemistry is they're going to the future, looking at what you want the equation to be, and then figuring out the path to get there.
Exactly.
And that made it really logical to me. So I just was like, damn, I just wish that when I was younger, someone spoke to me like that and made me understand it. I think what you're doing is dope, and I think more people need to see.
No, and I appreciate that, Damon. To be honest with you, I learned that from how you broke down business. and the way you broke down business and the way you communicated that. I said, if I understood business in that way, I wish I'd had somebody teach me that, but I need to do that through chemistry, because what I've learned in chemistry, in regards to especially scientists, we talk a lot of jargon, but sometimes I think that jargon goes over people's heads, and they will say, okay, we'll just trust the science because it sounds like you know what you're talking about. But I think sometimes we need to work as overall science. I'm not saying there's some few that know how to communicate both layman's terms and also the scientific language, but I think the duality needs to increase in the sciences, because if we're talking to people like principals and the masses, we need to understand that they do not speak the language that we speak, and we have to make sure that we communicate in a way that they not only receive it well, they still have the respect for us as they always do, but in the midst of that, they also understand clearly in their own mind to say, okay, this is why I trust you. Not I'm just going to trust because I believe you know what you're talking about. It's the concept of I know that I trust you because you made it so simple to me that it's understandable.
My question to you is, as you've been around schools, you spoke to educators, what can schools do differently, especially in the elementary grades, to keep the curiosity going? Because without curiosity, you can't become a scientist. Without really planting the seeds and getting kids interested in knowing the world, you can't become a scientist. So what can schools do differently to really plant the seeds to actually create scientists? Because we see, I run a K to 12, and we see when kids get to high school, science is not in their future. And if we look at the stats, Black and brown kids run from STEM careers. They built the entire school in New York City, Cornell Tech. I don't know if everybody know the politics behind that, but Black and brown kids are not there. We're not in these programs in colleges, so we can't be in careers. So what have you learned from your experience that schools can really glean from to do science education better?
Well, what I've done is, I can speak from my experience. What I've done is I stepped into working with little kids and really just showing little experiments and creating that experience for them to try to hook them in to see what can be the possibility. So first they see me, then they hear what I talk, and I think that's the representation piece. First, we got to bring people into the room that look like us. That's number one. And secondly, like Dennis said, have that swag and actually have that communication piece as well. But the third, do something that's fun and engaging with those particular kids. And it don't have to be a whole thing. It don't have to be like a instruction. It could be fun. So like right now is Black History Month. I wish, and I'm gonna next time charge, get more Black scientists, Black STEM professionals in here, or mainly Black chemists, to show that we're here, number one, but actually show some exposure and they have culture with them as well, to actually see, okay, we're doing the science, but here's somebody that can show us what he doing on a daily basis and have fun with us. And I think that connection piece there will help help students from the younger grades to see what can happen. So by the time they hit high school, it's not new to them, or it's not like, hey, this is chemistry. Hey, it's more math. Because one thing I think a lot of individuals need to understand is the science is nothing more. So math is nothing more than a language of science. Yeah. So, I mean, math is a language of science. So essentially, what that means is you using math, but math, you tie a little story to the math, and now you got science going on.
So I just wanted to, bring you up because I think it's important for everybody else to kind of see what's in front of us and know that you guys are the ones. When I think about OSG 15, 20, 50 years from now, like it's going to be you guys who are carrying the torch. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't create this for it to die with me. You know what I'm saying? That you guys are the ones that are going to take it to that next level. So when I talk about learning loss and why that's not necessarily the truth, it's because of people like Raisa as well. So welcome, Raisa. I know you.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. So I teach algebra. I'm a high school teacher in Queens. I'm also the National Honor Society advisor, and I'm on the senior committee. So I am doing a lot of things in the classroom and out of the classroom, as well as out of the school, because I have my own tutoring company with 3 other Black women who are all also educators, one being special ed certified and a speech pathologist. So we have been, because of COVID, thankfully, we were able to alter our tutoring company and now tutor nationwide. So we have been reaching out to many parents who have, been suffering with remote learning. They have been reaching out to us, asking if we can tutor them, if we're having tutoring sessions from all parts of the US. And thankfully, we have gotten so many people on board to work with us, to work for us, to help the students who have been struggling remotely during this time. So we have been filling in the gaps with foundational skills from K to 12, and making sure that these students are not falling behind. I know I am doing a lot in my classroom, and also helping other teachers with the tech, trying to make lessons engaging, so that our students are really, 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 really and truly learning. And like the principals just spoke, like, I don't believe in deficit at all. And so I'm just spending tirelessly days just working with kids one-on-one in a group. And I'm showing them me, like you said, I'm showing them me, and they're always seeing how much turned up I am. Even though I'm the math teacher, I like to be, animated, because math and science, like you said, is one of those things that's very hard to get through to our students. And we definitely lack that representation in our school, unfortunately. So I'm glad to see Dr. John here. And, as much as you could, please share some more Black people that are in STEM that can teach our kids, because when I tell you, they definitely, when they see us,
Exactly.
that's it. Like, it's sold already, because they're so used to seeing people that don't look like us in these fields. So I'm all about not being the minority anymore.
Exactly.
Like, I hate saying that we are the minority. There's not enough of us. It's time to be the majority. It's time to be in these kids' faces that look like us and show them.